Stamps. Easy to do on a laser engraver. There are tons of videos out there on how to make them, but I'm going to add one more, a logo with a fancy wood turn handle and a stamp. Let's go! I've tried a range of materials for stamps from plastic to wood, but unsurprisingly the best stuff I've found is something made specifically for laser cutting stamps, this laser engravable rubber. Now I'll pop a link below to where you can buy it in the video description down there. Now I'm engraving this on my Aeon Mira5s with a 60 watt CO2 tube, but you can engrave stamps on almost any laser above 5 watts or so, even cheap diode lasers. The Aeon makes easy work of it though with its killer speeds. A quick engrave test and I found some optimal settings for my machine. 50 watts power at 250 millimeters per second. Now I probably could have sped this up a little considering my laser cutter can move at 1200 millimeters per second. For the stamp I decided to make a nice simple logo for my little 3D printing side hustle. We can then use it to brand a few things like boxes and bags. Now I imported the logo into Lightburn and sized it to 50 millimeters circle. I pop some text around the outside with our website on. I set the engrave and cut power at 50% with the speed of 250 millimeters per second. And then I used the laser's camera to line up where I wanted the cut to happen, double checking with the laser's red dot and a quick frame just to make sure it was going to cut exactly where I wanted it. Center laser. And a few minutes later we have a nice rubber stamp that can be glued to... Ah yes, we need a handle. I raided my scrap bins for some nice oak and chucked it up on my lathe. First I turned it round with my square carbide rougher. Then I formed a nice pleasing shape with the circular carbide scraper, as this leaves a nice finish even before sanding. I then sanded up the grits from 180 all the way up to 400 before applying some abrasive paste as a final finish. And finally, I gave the end a quick finish, nothing too fancy mind, just where the stamp was going to be glued to. I used Gorilla Glue polyurethane, as this stuff sticks to anything with a tiny mist of water to help it cure fast. I added a few dots of CA glue just to help keep it in place while the Gorilla Glue dried. Obviously it's critical that the glue is smeared flat with no big lumps or voids, just to make sure it's all nice and flat and it functions well as a stamp. I left the stamp overnight so it had a proper chance to cure. I used one of these large pads, which I'll link below where you could buy those from, to test it out. Ah, wow, isn't that beautiful? There are, of course, all sorts of pre-made handles for stamps, or you could 3D print one, I guess, but I think there's nothing quite like a nice piece of wood. And there's something to be said for branding your stuff with ink. It gives a nice sort of handmade feel, which can be really nice when you're automating production with things like a laser or a CNC. I sell these stamps on my website, which I'll link below, but you can see from this video how easy it is to make them, especially with a laser like the Aeon Mira5s. So why not check Aeon's range of laser cutters, and there's even a 5% off code below too. And remember, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell if you want to know when I'm next going to make a laser video.